Today, we're privileged to speak with a very dear friend of the Annex who spent well over 7 years in homelessness and drug addiction. Donny is now in his 7th year of recovery and has enthusiastically agreed to share his remarkable story for the journey. So I'm here today with Donny Moxley. Donny, thank you for being here so much. And again, congratulations on your recovery and some of the big changes that you've made in your life. And I appreciate you being here to tell us a little bit about it. So tell us a little bit about your background, your upbringing. What did home life look for you when you were young?
My home life was really good. I
Okay.
grew up with a Christian family. I was very sheltered from a young age. I was sheltered for about 6 to 7 years. And then later on, I got transferred to a public school, which was a big eye-opening. There I met kids I had never met before that were into metal music, rap music, and other things, which kind of scared me a little bit, to be honest. And I was then introduced to marijuana, cigarettes, and certain things, and smoking and whatever, because of my sheltered Christian life. And then going there, it was a little bit scary, to be honest.
Oh, I'll bet.
Yeah.
So what can you remember when you first started to use some of those substances? What was kind of the thing that led you to use? Was it peer pressure? Was it what was it?
I think it was just a little bit about testing something that I had never done before. So when I met friends, I kind of attracted to the wrong crowd, and they were smoking and drinking and doing other things, and I was kind of attracted to that. So that's what kind of led me to doing those things.
Okay. So how did your use grow to the point that it really started to harm your life when it stopped being just recreational?
Probably about when I got to high school. Um, Everybody that I was hanging out with was smoking weed every day.
Okay.
And it started to become a habit where I would have mood swings and certain things. I would lash out at my parents and stuff if I wasn't high. So it became chronic use at about grade 9.
Grade 9. So you started out with marijuana.
Yes.
Did that stay your drug of choice, or did your drug of choice progress, or did you use whatever you get your hands on? Or
My drug of choice at a young age, at grade 9, was marijuana. And
Okay.
then I started to like to use mushrooms all the time. Every weekend I was using mushrooms and drinking. And then other drugs I started to try in high school was ketamine and other things, but mostly my drug of choice was marijuana and mushrooms.
Okay. So you said that it started to cause real problems at home. At what point in time did you have to leave home?
I was about 16 years old when I moved out, and I moved out with some friends
Okay.
who were drug dealers. They sold cocaine and other stuff. There was dogs in the house, there was guns in the house, there was drug dealers coming over all the time. Yeah, so at a young age, I was kind of brought into the drug life.
That sounds like a pretty rough transition to go from a Christian home to living with guns in a pretty short period of time.
Yeah, one thing that I know, though, now that I'm older, is that my dad and my mom were just trying to protect me. They were just trying to lead me down the right path, but I was rebelling and I wanted to do what I wanted to do. But now that I'm older, I wish I would have listened to them and stayed on the right path.
Yeah. Yeah, we always are sure that we know what's going on when we're teenagers, and we seem to get dumber as time goes on, don't
Yeah,
we?
yeah.
So you began to live with some drug dealers. At what point in time did you lose your housing to where you were no longer housed?
I lost my housing when I first tried crystal meth. One of my problems in life, now that I look back at it in recovery, is I never knew how to say no. Anytime somebody came over and they had a new drug or a new type of cigarette or marijuana, I would try it. So, when I first got introduced to crystal meth, I was living at home, and I had my children were gone because they went back and forth to their mother's house.
Okay.
So I was by myself. A friend came over, gave me crystal meth. I tried crystal meth. First thing that I did was tweak out, went over to my brother's house, who lived down the street. He could tell something was wrong. And then my family kind of knew that I was using harder substances.
Wow. So you mentioned your children. How old were you when you started to have kids?
I was 20 years old.
20 years old. Okay. So the way that you're dealing with your kids now, I take it would be from a place of a lot of experience.
Yes. Yes. It's been hard trying to reconnect with my kids. My kids are very mad at me. I left them when they were young due to my drug use. yeah, reconnecting with them is one of the hardest things that I've had to do. But the good thing is they're all proud of me and they're happy that I've changed my life and they want me to keep going. But I have faith that in the future I will sit down and maybe have a Christmas with all of my children there.
No, that's awesome. We're definitely hopeful for that for you too.
Thank you.
So when you became fully homeless, did some of your friends or people that you used with become homeless as well, or did you make new acquaintances when you got out on the street?
I just made a lot of new acquaintances. To be honest, I had no idea what I was doing. When I first became homeless, I just went into I was in an alleyway and I
Hmm.
was there and it was winter time and it was really cold and actually a cop from St. Thomas found me and he's like, "Are you all right? What's going on?" And I'm like, "I have nowhere to go, no place to sleep." And he introduced me to a place that sheltered homeless overnight.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Was that the room at the inn
It
or
was a place called PSNE.
PS&E? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Sounds good. So, were you the time you became homeless? Crystal meth was pretty much your drug of choice at that
Yes.
point. How much were you using at that time?
I had friends that were selling it, so I was using probably a point or two a day.
Wow. For people who aren't familiar, what would a point of crystal meth look like?
Just a little, about a
But
nickel's worth of,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. So crystal meth is a pretty rough drug. Did
Yes.
you ever overdose?
Um, Not on crystal meth, but when I would mix crystal meth with fentanyl, I would overdose
Wow, that's
quite
pretty
frequently.
serious. How bad was it? I mean, did you end up in the hospital or?
Yeah, there's a story that I can share.
Sure.
The one time I was using crystal meth and fentanyl, and I overdosed at a friend's house. They thought that they lost me. Luckily, I got revived when the ambulance got there. They ended up taking me to the hospital. I
Hmm.
spent the night in the hospital. Actually, my dad's wife was doing the blood work, so she knew I was in the hospital. And actually, that day, my sister was in the same hospital
Oh
giving
wow.
birth to my niece Ayla,
Oh
who
wow.
is now a big part of my life. And I live with my sister and my niece, and I help raise my niece Ayla. So thankfully, I came back and something was looking after me that day.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, cool thing out of a rough story, no doubt.
Yes. Yes.
So you mentioned the mixture of fentanyl and crystal meth. So there's a lot of stories out there about the two drugs. Was it something that you purposely put together, or was it one of those things that a drug dealer just made a concoction and it got to you?
Well, yeah, the drug dealers made concoctions, but mostly I would stick to crystal meth. But if I couldn't find crystal meth, then I would use the concoction of fentanyl and crystal meth before. And in my past, I had a opioid addiction,
Okay.
a pretty heavy opioid addiction. So that's why I think that my body could handle fentanyl once in a while when I did use it.
Yeah. So what kind of opioids did you use?
Uh, Back when I was about 16 or 17, I got introduced to opioids and I became a functioning addict on
Okay.
opioids, mostly Oxycontin, morphine,
Okay.
and those things. But yeah, I was a functioning addict using it every day. I held jobs, I held my family, I
Mhm.
could do certain things. Most people didn't know that I was on it. The only time that people could know that something was wrong is when I didn't have the opioids and I became withdrawals.
Yeah.
And the withdrawals were pretty bad, pretty hard to deal with.
For those who don't understand withdrawals, what does that feel like? What does that look like?
It feels like your body is kind of being tormented,
Okay.
lots of aches and pains. Being addicted, all you think about is just getting the pill
Okay.
and you're going through torment. Nothing else matters. You just sit by the phone, sweating and going through. It's just crazy how much a little tiny pill can just control your life.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes I look at like little pills and I'm just like, how did something so small control me so much?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt. So at what point, this is going to be kind of an odd question, but at what point did drugs stop being something that you were doing for fun or recreational, whatever, and become something that you needed to control the pain?
Probably at a young age, probably
Okay.
around 16.
About 16?
Yeah, 16,
Okay.
17.
Okay. So for a lot of your drug use, it wasn't about partying or anything else.
No, it was just about I enjoyed the high and I
Yeah.
enjoyed the feeling being high, but it was something that I needed to get through the day.
Okay. So, did you suffer? Now, obviously, you had a health problem with the overdoses,
Mhm.
but did you have any other physical ailments that came about due to your drug use?
Yeah, I suffered from mental health
Okay.
and I suffered from psychosis.
Okay.
I would always end up in mental hospitals or the suicide ward.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would just people would tell me stories about me back in the day, and I'd be high in St. Thomas, just walking around, talking to myself, looking in mirrors. I
Mm-hmm.
kind of went to like another dimension, kind of in my mind,
Mm-hmm.
just to kind of block out the pain of losing my children
Yeah.
and losing my house and just being homeless. So I
Yeah.
would just kind of get high and then just kind of go into my own little world.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, how long were you homeless and wandering the streets like that?
I think it was about 6 or 7 years.
That's a long time, man.
Yeah.
That's a long time. So, being out on the street like that, did you suffer from any violence or anything like that? Were people rough on you at all, or
I got into a few fights, but I kind of mostly stuck to myself.
stuck to yourself?
Yeah.
Okay. So, did you lose any friends? Did you have anybody that overdosed and died while you were out on the street?
Yes, quite frequently actually.
Yeah.
A lot of people died around me and stuff. And then when I found recovery, about every week, couple weeks, I'd get a RIP on my Facebook,
Yeah.
and it was somebody that I knew. I probably lost about 30 or 40 friends that I've known around the area.
Wow.
Yeah,
So, were most of those due to overdose, or were they due to being homeless and freezing to death, or was it overdose? I mean,
most of them were
most
overdoses.
of them were overdose. 30 to 40, that's a lot of people, man.
Yeah, we go to events with my friends, and it's recovery events, and there's hundreds of people there, and on their shirts they have all the people that they've lost to addiction,
Yeah,
and it's just crazy. It's staggering the amount of people that have lost their lives to addiction.
absolutely. It sure is. So, at what point did you realize I got a problem and I need to stop? What was the trigger that said I just can't do this anymore?
Probably when I was in London, Ontario, and the shelters were full, and I was sitting there in the freezing cold with nowhere to go,
Hmm.
and I was just kind of looking at my life, and I was like, "Why am I sitting here in the freezing cold, and the only thing I'm thinking about is crystal meth?"
Yeah,
I'm like, "There's got to be something more than this, something more to life than this." I had a family, I had kids, I had houses, I had places to live, and it's just like there has to be something more to this.
so what got you into recovery then? What steps did you take to begin your journey of recovery?
Actually, it was a failed suicide attempt that
Mm,
led me to the hospital. I was at my rock bottom, probably the lowest I'd ever felt in my life. My family came to visit me in the hospital,
yeah,
and my dad offered me he would help me pay for Teen Challenge
yeah.
and get me into Teen Challenge, and I agreed to go to Teen Challenge.
Wow. That's a big step to go from the street to a structured environment like Teen Challenge. I mean, how easy of a transition was that for
It
you?
was very hard.
Yeah.
I was so used to just laying around all day and just only time I would get up was to go get dope and go get high.
Hmm.
So when they had a structured environment where I had to be up at 6 a.m. and do Bible study
Yeah.
and there was things all day,
Yeah.
all I wanted to do was just say I was sick and just wanted to stay in bed all day. Yeah.
That definitely makes sense. There are folks that are homeless that feel that way, that aren't homeless that feel that way when
Yeah.
they get to Teen Challenge. So did you get through a whole year of Teen Challenge?
No, I unfortunately didn't graduate.
Okay. You
I
didn't
went to
get
Teen
through.
Challenge twice.
Okay.
The second time I left after about 7 months,
Okay.
and then I went and lived with my mom, and I've been sober since.
Okay. So when you left Teen Challenge the first time, did you go into a relapse or
Yes, when
did
I
you?
left Teen Challenge the first time, a friend of mine at Teen Challenge gave me a pair of Jordan shoes.
Mm-hmm.
I left. I
Yeah.
came down Talbot Street. I ran into a drug dealer that I knew.
Yeah.
I traded the Jordan shoes for a couple points of drugs. I ate the drugs, and then I had no place to go. I'm sitting on Talbot Street. I'm high, and I'm like, "What the heck did you just do?" You're
Wow.
back in the same position. Luckily, a friend found me, took me back to his house for the night, called my mom, and the next day I went back to my mom's, and then I transitioned into going back to Teen Challenge, and I have stayed sober since.
Oh, it's fabulous. So you had one major relapse
Yeah,
then.
one relapse, which scared me so bad because I spent so many years homeless on the streets
Yeah.
in the same position. And I'm like, I just left a place where they fed me 3 square meals a day. I had warmth, and I'm sitting in the wintertime, again, no place to go. And I'm like, I do not want to relive what I've relived before. I got to shape up and get cracking at it, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
no doubt. So, can you remember the feeling? First of all, I'm so thankful that you only had one relapse. Relapse is often a part of the journey
Yes.
to getting sober.
What was the trigger or the cause that made you go out and use again? Can you think back to that?
I can't think. In my addiction, I would cover the pain by getting high.
Okay.
When I was at Teen Challenge, I started sobering up, and it was a big battle ahead of me. Things that I had to do, make amends to people, kind of step up and be a man.
Yeah.
And I don't think at that point I was ready to do that. I think I just kind of went back into my old ways and transitioned back into addiction.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it is, we want it to be a straight line. I decide that I'm done and I'm done.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it doesn't often work that way.
Yeah, lots of work after I got sober. It was a lot of work that I had to do, a lot of people that I had to ask forgiveness for, and a lot of things I had to work on in myself.
So what would you say is the key element? What's the biggest thing that has really helped you on your road to recovery?
Probably God.
Okay.
God and God loving me and loving myself. Probably loving myself and forgiving myself for everything that I've done, and not caring what other people think about me or what other people say about me. Just finding love for myself.
Yeah. So this relationship with God, was it something that you had when you were younger? You said you were with Christian parents, or was it something that you discovered during the recovery process?
Yes, I grew up in the church, and I wasn't as close to God back then as I was when I got sober. So when I became sober, and all the things that the Bible said about me, about how Christ loves me, how he forgives me, how he has a plan for my life, kind of opened me up to a new adventure in my life, where I was wanting to get sober and I was wanting to do good in life. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So you've been sober 7 years now?
6 years.
6 years. 6 years now. That's number one. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's tremendous. So obviously, during the 6 years, it's been a road. What are the things that you do to try to make sure that you stay sober and you don't sell your Air Jordans again, so to speak?
Every day when I wake up, especially in the wintertime, I go outside and I stand outside for a little bit. And I am like so thankful that I have a house, so thankful that I can just go inside and make a coffee. I have a refrigerator. I look at my sister who I live with and my family that I have there, and I'm like, it is way better having a family and being around my sister and her kids. And then I make little goals for myself every day. I lift weights, I read the Bible, I read books, and I do certain goals, and I set up goals every day. But I look back on the hell that I went through and the hell life that I lived, and I just say to myself, living here, being sober is way better than being back out there. And you are blessed. God loves you. He saved you. I'm one of the lucky ones that made it out of addiction from my city. A lot of people didn't make it. A lot of people are still struggling. And maybe I can share a message on my Facebook about my recovery and kind of share some hope and show that there is purpose and there is life after addiction.
That's amazing, Donny. So we heard the statistic of 30 or 40 of your friends dying of addiction, which obviously is heartbreaking. Have any of your other friends actually made it out of addiction like you have?
Yes, when I went to Teen Challenge, I met a lot of guys that actually shared the same stories as me. One thing when I was first getting sober is I was like, there's nobody out there like me that has as much mistakes and messed up as much as I did. And then when I went to Teen Challenge and started connecting with guys, it's like, hey, I messed up. I'm an addict. I was homeless, and it was nice to connect with people. And a lot of them have made it out of addiction.
Yeah.
And some of them have actually went on to become pastors and ministers and have opened sober living houses. And they do a lot of good work in the recovery community.
So there is hope.
There is hope.
That's awesome. So you have a tremendous amount of experience with regard to some of the major issues that are facing people in Ontario. What are some things that need to be done differently in order to help folks to move from homelessness to being housed and to move from addiction into sobriety?
I think a lot of stuff has to do with like personal issues.
Okay.
I think a lot of addicts fight personal battles, and I think a lot of them need a little bit of help to find hope and love themselves. So I think more things that would help them like become better persons, like to love themselves and to be thankful of who they are. Because out in the streets, a lot of people are mean. They pick on each other. They say mean things, and a lot of people hold their head down high. They think they're the lowest of society, which is not true.
Right.
Like when you get sober and you come out, or when you do things in life, you can become a better person.
Okay.
There is hope.
Yeah, that's good. What length of time was it between your decision and then actually getting into Teen Challenge?
It was just it was like pretty much right away.
It was right away?
Yeah,
Okay,
as soon
that's
as my
good.
dad called, they got us in right away. And at the hospital, after my suicide attempt, the doctor locked me down.
Mhm.
So because I was like, if I leave here, I'm not going to be going to Teen Challenge. I'm going to be back on the street using. So the doctor at the hospital let me stay there for about a month,
Mhm.
and then I got released from the hospital right to Teen Challenge.
So having a safe place to be while you went through that transition between drug use and actual recovery was a huge piece for you then.
Yeah, one of the hardest things to get out of the mind is wanting to use all the time, wanting to use every day. It
Yeah.
just seems like it's right there. The one time that I knew that it was gone is I was at my mom's house and I turned a year sober, and I didn't want to wake up and I didn't want to use. I woke up and I started crying, and
Mhm.
I was like, "It is gone! Like, thank you, God, it is gone. The addiction part is gone. I don't want to use. I don't want to destroy myself anymore. Thank you, Lord."
Oh, that's amazing.
Yes.
That's amazing. Let's say that you're talking to someone who's in the place that you were back in the day.
Mhm.
What would you tell them about drug use and about the hope for the future?
I would just tell them that they're loved, and I would just tell them that I'm one of the biggest um, failures of life.
Mhm.
I failed so much in life. I lost my children. I lost my home. I lost everything. And I've come back and made a life for myself.
Mhm.
So I know that they're fighting a personal battle, and anything that they're going through, they can go to God
Mhm.
and go to people. And there's communities like the Annex here where people they can come and talk to,
Mhm.
and people love them like humans.
Yeah.
It's not you're less than a human. You are a human, and there is hope for you, and there is a future.
You came from a good home.
Mhm.
Not everyone who's mired in addiction comes from a good home. But for those families who are still involved in an addict's life, who are not using themselves, what would you tell them about supporting their loved one?
I know it's hard, but sometimes you got to just keep a distance
Okay.
from them. What my family did for me was the odd time my mom and my sister would show up and bring me Doritos and smokes. They
Mhm.
never gave me cash,
Yeah.
never gave me any money. They said that they loved me and they wanted me to get better,
Mhm.
and just having their love there from a distance,
Mhm.
I think was a good thing. I used to beg my mom and my sister to take me back to their house. Now being sober, I know that they couldn't have brought a
Yeah.
methamphetamine, fentanyl user to
Yeah.
their home, so I understand. But sometimes people got to hit rock bottom,
Yeah.
and then they come back and then they start asking for help. As hard as it is, but sometimes, yeah, you just gotta love from a distance.
Nice. So, Don, there was a time in your life, obviously, that you were living day to day, but now you probably have plans for the future. Now that you've gotten sober, can you tell us a little bit about those plans?
My plans for the future is every day I wake up and I try to be the best man that I can be.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be a good husband. I want to be a good father, maybe in the future
Mm-hmm.
with my children.
Yep.
I have plans to start working soon. I
Okay.
want to get out there and start working. I was also maybe looking at going to school, maybe for addictions.
No doubt. Well, Don, I mean, with your enthusiasm and your history, I think you'd be great at that.
Thank you.
So, Don, obviously, you abused your body for a long time, and now you're not anymore. But have there been any long-term effects of your drug use that continue on in your life, and how do you deal with those?
One of the most detrimental things of my drug use is my mind.
Hmm.
Um, I have a hard time remembering my past. I can't remember anything about living with my children or anything. I think the trauma and the drug use kind of erased some of my memory.
Hmm.
I play matching games with my niece and my nephew,
Mm.
and they have the whole deck, and I have maybe one. And I'm like, how is this 6-year-old beating me this bad? And then I remember all the drug use and the
Yeah.
trauma that I went through. Another thing that was hard to get over is I spent a lot of years smoking cigarettes
Hmm.
and smoking marijuana. So now when I go for walks and stuff like that, I'm better now 6 years later. But when I
Hmm.
first started, it was I could only walk for a little bit. I couldn't run.
Hmm.
I work out every day.
Hmm.
I try to eat healthier. But yeah, the drug use and the homelessness did a big toll on my body.
Sure.
Yeah.
What do you find, like, stress wise and trigger wise, since you've been sober for a while? Are there any things that you have to be careful of, that you have to watch, that maybe you didn't when you were younger?
One thing that I have to watch is who I allow in my life.
Mm.
I only allow certain people in my life, and when people call me about addiction, I love them from a distance.
Hmm.
I don't allow them to come into my sister's home or be around me. One thing that's kept me going is staying kind of by myself and just having Christian friends and just people that love on me and want to see me succeed in my life. Because one thing, when I look back, as I said, I was drawn to the bad crowd.
Hmm.
And I think that's what kind of led me into my life. I love all addicts and I love everyone out there, and I hope that they have good lives. But as for me and my recovery, I have to do what's best for me.
Do you suffer from any lingering effects with regard to psychosis and some real mental health issues?
I did for a while when I was getting sober. I used to see little things on the walls, and
Hmm.
I used to talk to myself quite often. I still kind of talk to myself sometimes
Hmm.
because I spent so many years alone on the streets, and I just would talk to myself and do things. And still, even after 6 years, I still suffer from certain things,
Hmm.
psychosis, and yeah, it's a tough battle. It's
Sure.
at times I get a little bit frustrated because it's like it's been 6 years. I've read
Hmm.
like 50 books, and I'm working on myself, and it's like, what is wrong with my mind? Why won't it snap out of this? When am I gonna heal? And at times, sometimes I gotta just sit back and just accept myself and love myself and be
Hmm.
like, maybe it's not gonna heal, and maybe this is how you're gonna be for the rest of your life.
Hmm.
So you just gotta go on and do the best that you can.
Yeah. How about some things that a lot of us struggle with, like anxiety and depression? Those are huge things in the media these days. Do you ever struggle with any of those?
Oh yeah. This Christmas, every Christmas I wake up, and it would be nice to have my children there for Christmas, and it would be
Hmm.
nice to have some of the friends that I had before in life that unfortunately passed away hanging out with me for Christmas. But it's just something that I got to deal with. But yeah, it's it. I wake up and I sit there and I'm like, I've lost everything. I don't have certain things in my life, and I just got to make the best out of today because I don't want to spend the rest of the day in bed just longing about what could have been.
So if I can make a leap, just listening to some of the things you've said about recovery. Um, you don't let recovery just happen to you. It sounds like you're taking action. You
Mhm.
take action to step outside. You take action to do these things. How important is taking specific action to your recovery?
One thing that I go by is they say one day at a time.
Hmm.
So I wake up every day, I set goals for myself, I get out of bed, I work out, I get my niece and nephew to school, and I get supper and certain things ready for the day.
Hmm.
And yeah, one day at a time, just wake up and just fight the battle of the day and not worry too much about my future and
Hmm.
not worry too much about my past. My past was a life lesson,
Hmm.
and I don't live in it. And my future, if I keep working on myself and I keep building myself up, I
Hmm.
have a good feeling that my future will be pretty good.
Nice. So, Donnie, you talked about growing up in a Christian home, and being exposed to God at that point in time. But obviously, God's place in your life is a lot stronger than it used to be. At what point in time, what really grabbed you with God? What's really gotten a hold of you with God? What experiences have just cemented that relationship during this time?
One thing early on in my recovery, in the Bible, it says, "It is no longer I, but Christ who lives in me."
Hmm.
So it was like kind of like I had a best friend and a savior
Hmm.
walking with me. So I didn't have to do my recovery alone. I can pray to him, I can talk to him, I can lean on him. He is very forgiving and very loving. One of the best things that I did was I had all my friends from Teen Challenge and from around come, and I got baptized on my birthday,
Oh
and I've
wow!
given my life fully to Christ.
Yeah.
But it's really nice to have a savior and a God that just controls the universe and just controls everything, knowing that he's looking out for me and knowing that he loves me and knowing that he has a good plan for my life.
Sounds great. So, what touches your heart? I mean, what really at this point in time? Obviously, um, you're a changed man. So, what are the things that just really grab you these days?
Things that grab me these days is when my sister says, "Thank you.
Mm,
Without you, I don't know how I would do things." When
nice.
my niece wakes up and she's like, "Uncle Donnie, you're the best uncle." Just things that, like having such misery before in my past, thinking that I was such a bad person,
Yeah,
and then coming to recovery and realizing, hey, without drugs and alcohol, I'm actually a pretty good guy. I can actually do things, and people actually like who I am. So it's really nice, and especially having my mom and dad going to their house for Christmas and getting cash for Christmas and actually participating in family events.
nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's quite a wake up when you realize, hey, people like me.
Yeah, I'm not such a bad guy without drugs and alcohol.
That's right. So, Donny, thanks again for being here today. You are really an inspiration to those of us who are working in the field. And my hope is to this video that you'll be an inspiration to those who are needing hope out in the world as well. Any last words that you want to give?
Thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate what the Annex and the Grace Cafe is doing. And yeah, thankful to be here. And I hope that this message brings hopes to those that are still out in addiction.
Excellent.
Thank you.
We were overjoyed to have Donny with us here today and to have him share his story with us. Donny's story is unique, but in many ways, it's typical of those who face addiction and homelessness. So please, click the subscribe button below, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like as well. Thank you, and we'll see you soon.